Since I am in harmonious twin flame union, the consciousness state, things have definitively changed for me. It was a large turnaround of my heart to which I have been working for so long, and I had such a deep longing for this inner peace, and it was finally there. I still can remember it like yesterday, or like today. This moment when it happened, and I was in a nature field close by, actually at the end of my street it starts, and yeah, making my walk, my stroll, and having a little stop at this um farmer's place. I don't know, like, anyway, sitting down for a bit, and I remember feeling my heart, and I felt different, and then I slept over it, and the next day I still felt different. And I knew that it had happened because it was sustaining itself. And of course, I kept on choosing it, right, overnight. And it was not just a fluke, this was it. And I knew where I was, I knew what had happened. And it was beautiful. Like, there are no words to describe. It was so beautiful. But there was a lot to unravel from it that came out of it, a lot to process that came from it. And I knew that was also so from that very moment on. And ever since, I've been busy with that. And at this moment, I have come to a place in which, like, the big bulk of what needed to be processed actually is done, pretty much. And that's an amazing place in itself to be. I think that it would be interesting for you to know what actually I have been doing afterwards that creates that I can be together with him physically. Because, well, we could actually talk about it from a little bit before, but definitely after Harmonious Union for me as well, because we couldn't be together immediately. And that may be for you as well. Or not, and it will still be very informative for you to know. What did I do afterwards? And particularly zooming into what did I do to make sure that we can be together in the physical as well? Not only that you click in with the consciousness, but to be together in the physical too, because I have clearly been working towards that. Because that's what we want. That's what you want. That's clear. And it's okay. And it will happen. It's guaranteed when you first go to the consciousness state of harmonious union, and then afterwards sustain it. And that brings us indeed at point number one, because that is, I did not stop doing the inner work. I did not stop it. I actually went into an increase of doing the inner work, and I went into a deeper understanding of doing the inner work. The twin flame inner work with the key tool. 2 versions, actually 3, because I also have one for your trauma nowadays as well, because a couple of months ago I was entrusted with that 3rd type as well, that I could do it from the inside out, from source out. So it was some sort of an initiation. Anyway, so 3 versions of the key tool. Yeah, I kept on doing that, and I started understanding it even much better afterwards. And there was also this whole period of, there was one big key tool over 4 years' time. Because usually we do it in the moment with what you feel now, and you move yourself through the 4 steps. And maybe you need to do that a couple more times, or a whole couple more, right? And many more moments on the sort of the same thing until it really has passed through you. But you in principle seem to be doing it in a moment. But afterwards I seem to be doing it in one big key tool in 4 years' time. With lots of letting go and lots of change, inner change, and lots of seeing physical and social situations as a result of doing this inner work, well, be kind of strange and nasty sometimes even, but then I could process my emotions that were already inside of me anyway, that needed to come out, that needed to be processed with this sort of landscape of what was happening around me at that time. And that worked. And I could process these emotions inside my 4-year-long key tool, because we had a whole couple of social situations that were actually some sort of working against me, seemingly even. But that was very good because it gave me the opportunity to work out these emotions that I had in myself anyway, that needed to be processed to never return. And I knew that the moment I reached my harmonious union state, that there was a lot to work out. It's as if at the core, you're there, but your emotional, physical, mental layers still need to learn of it. And in that learning of it, there is a huge swiping of the old stuff, the old emotions, the old thoughts, the old physicality as well. And it's just leaving you. And that was a whole process. So I did not stop doing the inner work there. I was not like, okay, so that's it, right? Where is he now? Let me call him up. Oh, he doesn't pick up because he's at his work. I don't like that. No, I related to the inner. I related all these things to the inner. Like, oh, we can't be together yet. Oh, I feel there's a lot to process. Oh, I have the urgency to want to connect with him. But yeah, I feel like I need something else. And then give that a couple of months. And then I connected with him and something came out that upset me again. And then I had new inner work that needed to be done. And it was made clear by now, right? And yeah, and then I started to work on that one for a while until I felt like, yeah, that was sort of it. And I feel I want to reach out again. And I did that again. And then something came back again. And there was something inside of that that upset me again. And I could work that out. So we also had in this inner work now a whole, it was like an alternating thing with our communication and how we both worked things out in our own inner work. Because there was actually a lot of forgiveness that needed to be done. And I do have a starter kit actually for you. I think it must be one of the links in the description box below this video, that you can get it for free. And in my letter to you that is inside of it, together with like the 11-day course for free that is inside of there, and the 1-hour meditation that is inside of there for free as well. There's also a letter with it, and in it I also describe some things that were in that beginning time. What I describe, what was the thing that made me so full of emotions, and what the thing was. So if you want to know that, get your starter kit, right? You start yourself up and you learn something about me as well. I thought that was just only fair, to share something about myself as well. And that's also why I sometimes share about myself, just like now, because I think that it might be just insightful for you. And it's a way of telling stories that I hope teach you as well. And of course, I have permission to share of myself, right? So I'm always a good example. And so that you know that I can relate to all your kinds of situations, because I have them too. Even though there's also a big difference, because I arrived and I was initiated as a teacher. So, but that helps you too. So I hope that feels good to you. I would say that it should, because it helps you. So there was this whole conversation between us, like conversation and then inner work, and then him and me and him and me. It was very interesting to experience how this back and forth worked between us. And that was sure all inside the idea of I did not stop the inner work. The inner work deepened tremendously. I have gone through a whole bunch of consecutive seasons of change in the inner work afterwards, all inner work, inner work, inner work, a new piece of inner work, a new chunk of inner work every 6 months or so. And that was just so beautiful. And inside that inner work, with which I actually refer to the spiritual level of things, right? There was also a lot of attention for my childhood trauma that came up, that I could now completely heal to never return, because I was taking it into my twin flame inner work, my spiritual inner work, my union inner work. That's where it was taken into and brought out and resolved inside of it. That's why that worked. So it was not on the psychological level, because then I would still have it, but I would have more insight. But it was on a spiritual level, on the union level, that I resolved that. And that was a big chunk, a big season inside of my inner work as well in this time frame that we're speaking of. But that can be different for everyone, exactly what kind of thing you will see there. But I think it's also kind of normal that many people will have a chunk of childhood trauma there, or inner child work, or however you want to call it. So the second thing that I did to be with them physically was to not stop being guided. Yeah, I just continued to be guided. I allowed myself to be guided. And I had been guided in the past deeply, and I was still processing the reverberation of that. And it still came through in like inner movements that came forward as the teacher. And they were teaching me. And I accepted. And that happened every once in a while. And I kept being guided. And then I went also back to places that are for me guidance. And I was guided by more people and structures that I accepted, and authorities over me that I accepted. And it was a whole process of how that fitted after Harmonious Union. But it was there all the time. And I started to see more and more that this was just God's guidance in the form of people, in the form of the world, in the form of authority. And I accepted. And this did me very well. The deeper I went with that, the more at peace I came. The more close I came to physically be together with the twin flame. Because now I could connect the humans with that deep, unconditional twin flame love. Now I could connect authority, structures, order, daily life, working together, getting feedback. I could connect that with that deep twin flame love. And that was the real process that I needed. So I did not stop the guidance. The guidance became more. And that healed me in the direction of being able to be with them in the flesh, in a relationship. Yeah. 3, I solved my karma. I had, lots of karma. That was like the logic result of what I was doing before. Ways of living that were not working, that had been actually disturbing a lot of people in the past. In former lifetimes as well, but also in this lifetime. Because I did not behave well in the past. I was deeply traumatized and I had no real grip on what I was doing. That was a problem. And that touched other people. And that was like a whole accrued karma that I had. And you need to face that. And I did. And that makes it easier to come closer to the place where you can be in a relationship with a true twin flame. That's like the ultimate relationship. And also have that be peaceful. And have that be in such a way that maybe you already faced all these things that you needed to pay karma for, so that you don't need to work that out with the twin flame themselves. Although you could at the same time say that I was working it out with the twin flame himself, because we could not at that moment already be in the physical together in that relationship materialized. So that was already the result of all this this karma. So by facing that and then processing that and doing the twin flame inner work with it, basically, that's what it always comes down to. There is nothing else. I processed that karma. And all kinds of people were involved in these processes too, in how it was brought back to me what it actually was, or brought into my face what it actually was that I needed to look into. Like people like my neighbors, but also like people on the street. And that's where I saw it. And right now, I came a long way with that. Yeah. It really worked. Because I paid my dues. So that's almost sort of similar with the being confronted with your karma and processing it. But yeah, it is also as though, you're not a sinner, just like I am not, because that is a concept that is not really true. Because at the core, you are still this pure being that you are in your twin flame union, how you were created together as one by the divine. That's still inside of you. And you can count on that unequivocally. But you need to be corrected, like your outer life is not congruent with that yet. So that's the correction that you're undergoing, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's just works very well and stuff. It's very good. It's a very normal process to go through. But there is also a sense in that you are repairing yourself back into that original state. And that there is a sense of that costs you something, that you pay your dues. And I have talked about this before, like the most expensive due to pay was that it costed me my ego. Of course, it costed me also time and effort and inner work and money and all kinds of things. But it essentially costed me my ego. I had to leave my ego finally behind now. And in my Harmonious Twin Flame Union moment, that was at the core done. But now it had to move through my mental, emotional, physical being and work out the results there. So letting go of the ego in these places. And that is a form of payment. You need to pay, and then you get to be ready to start that physical life with them. And that's a very happy occurrence. I can tell you that. It's beautiful. Yeah. So 5, what I did to be with them physically in my harmonious union is I claimed him over and over and over and deeper and deeper and deeper. I claimed him when we experienced union. I claimed him after we experienced harmonious union. I claimed him again, and then I claimed him again, and then I claimed him again. And I told him what I was wanting for us. And I told him what I felt for him. And that is the claiming. You need to be clear and more emotionally open with clarity, and persist, and you persist, and you persist. And that forms the road on which at a certain moment you will be together with them. But some people never start claiming, right? They never start saying what they really want with them. They never start sharing with them how they truly feel about them and what would be a fitting way to deal with each other in the future. They never start that process. You know, when I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, in the beginning, that sounded really like nothing. That was really, we were so immature. But it doesn't matter. It was claiming. And at the moment of union, when that was first fully done, that was the whole union experience. And we needed that moment to know that we were each other's twin flame and that we were everything to each other, not only just some sort of vague friends. We were everything to each other. And then it was clear, and it was maybe immature because it was mostly at the forefront at that moment was mostly a physical attraction. But that needed to be there for us to understand this stuff. And to have this full union experience. And to understand something. To have something broken through. We needed that. To have a sort of an honesty broken through. And I can still see, like, yeah, that was in a sense also still immature, because then it was only that. Well, what do you want with that very focused on sexuality moment, you know? You also want to have that taken into a whole beingness, a complete love, you know? Otherwise it would indeed be sort of immature. So, yeah, sure. But it had to start somewhere, right? And then the next time when I claimed him, it was deeper, it was more. And I understood it now. And then I could phrase it like, I actually want to have this real relationship with you, and I want to make that official. That's what I would want. I would want to get married. And then that was still, when I look back now, in an atmosphere where it was like, oh yeah, that was still kind of immature, right? But I was already a lot closer. I was already a lot more matured. But it was still very unrefined yet. Really, like, that you would now say, like, oh, that makes me laugh, what I was doing there. But it was already 100% better than before. But that was still sort of like, oh, that's some sort of silly. Okay, so we need to develop that much more. 1000% more development in it. Oh, now it starts to be even better. But I kept on going in that claiming direction. Claim him deeper, claim him deeper, claim him deeper, claim him deeper. And then, yeah, now it starts to get somewhere. And now you can just be happy and laugh about it, right? Because that was indeed the direction, and now we can also make it come true. And that's such a happy moment. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah. And I want for you to also go through that development and experience it all. The total gamut of the total scale of all these experiences. Yeah. From immature to mature, and then just laugh about it and say, oh, wow, yeah. I just needed to experience all these stages. The complete human emotional rainbow, and all connected to this one deep core thing that is my twin flame union. Unmistakably, unequivocally true. And now we can also make it come true in the flesh. And that's such a happy moment. Oh, yeah. And I hope that helped for you. Love from Petra. On Monday, 18 November 2024, we start the 5 elements of the Union Heart love game. It is a free social media game, and it takes 5 days with a bonus day afterwards as well. And in it, you'll start to feel more about what is the twin flame love that it's all about, that is so core to what brings you towards your harmonious twin flame union. And it starts with touching on self-love and different approaches of that. We'll especially this time be researching what the 5 elements of the union heart really are. And that is the water approach, the air approach, fire, earth, and the etheric approach. And that is going to also be talked about in my social media. Because there are elements of this social media game that you can, via getting the mails, you get to go to the page where you can download your exercises for 5 days and 1 bonus day. But there are also other things like the social media images, and messages and stuff that I will be doing, social media videos. And we will also be gathering together in the Facebook group that is dedicated specifically to the people in this game. You will also be experiencing a live video together as a social meeting among each other to talk about how those experiences of the exercises of the 5 days have been for you and where you came in your heart, in your 5 elements of the union heart, where it brought you. Yeah, I'm very curious what it will do for you this time, and I hope to see you inside of it. To be able to partake, I need your name and your email address because it will be led through email. So the link is below. Click it. Give me your name and your email address. Schedule Monday, November 18. And the 5 days afterwards, approximately an hour or more if you like per day. And yeah, just be sure to schedule that you know that that's when we're starting, right? And I really hope to see you inside, and I'm very curious what will come out for you at this time. So yeah, see you then. Much love from Petra.